What's going on, guys? It's your boy MC Fixer, back with a brand new podcast, which isn't really brand new. We've done this before, we've tried it before, but it's back once again over on the youtube.com/MC Fixer channel. It's From the Gamers. We are back. What is From the Gamers? It's our weekly podcast where we come together and talk about all things video games. It could be mobile, it could be PC, it could be Ouya, it could be Xbox, it could be PlayStation, it could be Nintendo. It doesn't matter. The premise of the show is I get together with whoever the hell I want to each week, and we just talk video games. The one thing I love about My Xbox and Me is it's an Xbox focused show, right? So we specifically talk about Xbox each week, but then that leaves me neglecting a lot of games, and I feel not as much need to play some other games on other platforms unless I have a podcast. Today we have a podcast. My guest and co-host, we'll see how it works out with timings and things like that. Hey, it's a hard life. It's life out there. It's the one and only Despawn. How are you?
How do? I'm good, my friend. How are you?
Yeah, I'm all good, man. Honestly, it's one of those. I've been wanting to do this for so long, and like I said, I've wanted you to be involved for so long, and now it's just making it work with times. That's the hardest part of every podcast is, what time zone are you in? Or what time are you up? Or what time do you finish work? Or it's a pain in the backside, mate. It really is.
Yeah, those barriers are a treat, should we say?
Yeah, trust me.
Yeah,
It's
well, look, the new year, we've managed to make it work. We're here now. We're
on the roll.
It off.
Episode 1,
we're on the roll.
Take 2. We've started. That's all that matters. That's all that matters.
Take 2, 3.
I think we have to make it to episode 5 or 6. I think I only lost like 7 episodes last time. So we beat that. Success, mate. Success. That's all we need. Again, this is a place for people to come and cut their teeth, learn how to podcast, be on a podcast. You could be on 1 week, you could be on 2 weeks, you could be on 3 weeks. It doesn't matter. Obviously, hit me up at MC Fixer everywhere. Best places to get me is on Twitter or on Discord. Those would be the 2 best places. If you want to come and be on the show, you want to talk video games with myself and Despawn or whoever else is on the show at that time, you are more than welcome. We will figure out times. We will try and accommodate to the best of our ability, but that is what makes it that much harder. But that's enough chit-chat rubbish. Game of the year. It's the end of the year. Or it was the end of the year, I should say. It's a new year.
Yep.
10 games that stuck out in your head. Nah. The way I used to do this was like my top 10 games that I have beaten, and this is what it is. This year, I've still beaten most of these games, but not all of them. And we're gonna go from 10 to 1, and I'm interested to see what's on your list, dude. I really am interested to see what makes the Despawn top 10.
There are some choices on here. There's a couple of blast from the past kind of memory twanging games. Some big AAA titles. Some that probably shouldn't be on most people's top 10s, but they're on mine, so suck it.
Yeah.
It's an interesting list. There's some that I didn't expect to make it as well, but here we are.
Do you do old games as well, or do you strictly stick with 2020 games?
So majority are all 2020 games. There's one, or you could probably say 2 that are earlier games, but I think they got a big hit this year. So which might give you a spoiler into which one of them is.
No.
I've pretty much stayed to 2020 games with a couple of like minor exceptions.
Okay, fair enough.
What about yourself?
Yeah, so mine's strictly 2020. I'm very much, as you know, old games old. I want to play new experiences. Literally today, I was streaming and checking out what's coming out in January, like looking for what's new. Let me stay within the loop. I hate being out of the loop when it comes to games. So mine are all 2020 games, but you got to remember, I went into hospital when I got my PlayStation, right? So I've not had a chance to even talk about Astro, Miles, Final Fantasy Remake. Like, there's a ton of games there, Demon Souls, that I've played, but where does it rank on my list? And we're about to find out, I guess.
Yeah, I think we are. How do you want to start this anyway? How do you want to kick it off?
So I want to start at 10, and we'll go back to back. And we'll just sort of talk about the experiences we have with the game, why it made the top 10 list, why, how, what wasn't so good, what was good, like whatever comes to mind, really. That's what this is. It's just us chilling, talking about video games, right? So we'll start at number 10 for you. What you got?
So number 10 for me is one of those games that is an old game is old. So I went with one that I've just enjoyed playing with friends on stream with people. Even you, even though you annoyed me in the game,
I know
because
what
you
game
kill
this
me
is.
every single time.
I
It
see
is
what you
Among
mean.
Us.
I see what you mean by
Yeah.
old game, but it's not really an old game, but it is an old game because it come out in 2016, I think it
18.
come out.
I think it hit Steam in 2018. I don't know if it released in mobile earlier.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it hit Steam 2018, but obviously it had its big break this year.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just one of those games that it's like it is a bit janky. Like there are some things wrong, like Europe servers just pretty much don't work.
Broken.
So always go in North America, yeah.
Yep.
But even so, like every time I've jumped into that game, I jumped in again recently this weekend, and no matter who you're playing with or what you're doing, it's just a fantastic experience. The things that they're doing with the game as well, like the new maps, they've added there's mods for like proximity mode, for proximity chat, which is a fantastic addition.
Yeah.
Like the modes that people are coming up with, like the hide and seek mode, is just adding those elements, and it's just one of those fun party games that you can pretty much play with anyone. And a couple of rounds, you'll get the basic grasp of what you're supposed to do, and then just run around having fun. Or killing all of your friends.
Yeah, I think that's the thing for me with Among Us, that I loved what I played with Among Us. Didn't get to play as much as I would have liked, honestly. Like you see, like people were playing it day after day after day, and I definitely struggled to get a group together for a while, just because again time zones and things like that.
Yeah.
But the thing that really caught me with that game was the fact that it was so accessible. You jump in, you know how to play. You're lying, you're killing, you're trying to communicate the best way you can. If you're a terrible communicator, then you're gonna seem like you're always sus, which always happened to me. And yeah, I loved being the killer. Being the killer is the most fun you can have in that game. And even the tasks, though the tasks are very repetitive, I always had fun still doing most of them. Most of them I was like, this isn't annoying. This isn't annoying to do. Where like some mechanics in smaller games that I've played before, it's like, this is a stupid mechanic. Like I never had that in any of the mini games that I played in Among Us, really.
No. They were always like short enough for them not to overstay their welcome. And even the big ones, like you could do a particular task within like 10 to 30 seconds, and you'd be done, and then you'd just be off running around like an idiot again. And I think that's what makes it great, because as well, all the tasks were pretty varied, for my feeling. So it just made it like interesting to go do each one and discover how you did it. They were all pretty self-explanatory, but there's always that second of like, so why is that hexagon red, and what do I do with it? Or why do I click on the asteroids? What am I doing here? And it's like there's always that little moment. It's like when you're figuring it out for the first time, and then you figure it, and then you can start running around the map, just like knocking out quest after quest after quest, while that weird sus pink guy follows you around. Fix.
Yeah, it's usually me. I'll go be honest.
Yeah, it's usually you.
I killed you so much during that game. So
many
much.
times.
You got so angry. She's like, just let me play. Just let me play. I'm like, yeah, you'll play soon, mate. I'm busy. I'm killing.
Yeah.
I'm killing. You just happen. It's not even like I'd go. It's funny because like you would have thought I'm literally going for you only, right? Like I'm looking for you. It generally weren't usually like that. It was like you were the first person on their own. Like everybody else would be in a group, and I'm just like, well, he's on his own again. I got, what am I meant to do? Not kill him?
Yeah, I think that's because again, you can play it different ways, and I think that's one of the things I love about it, because you can just run off on your own, do the tasks as fast as you can, and get them all out of the way, or you can start running around in a group, so you can keep an eye on each other and find out who's being sus. And it's just like there's so many different elements. Like there was a really cool, again, just as a side story about how I've played. Like I had a game recently where it was me and one other guy who was a traitor or imposter. Sorry, I was dead, but I triggered a what's the word I'm looking for? A sabotage. Sorry.
Okay. Yeah.
So I sabotaged, and he guarded the keypad that you needed to stop the sabotage to win the game.
Yeah.
And it's just those little elements that you can do in the game, just like rather than it just like you can actually have a little thought process about how to win. And it's that's what I love about it. It's like it's a simple premise, but it can open up to like such a massive like varying styles of gameplay.
Yeah.
And I think that's why it made my list.
Fair enough. My one at 10 is Astrobot's Playroom. I can't believe this game is on my top 10 list, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I definitely spoke a lot of trash about this in a way of like people were saying, oh, it's going to be good. And I'm like, no, it's not. There's no way this is actually going to be good. It's a pack-in title on the PS5. It's this little robot who gives a rubbish. Like, no one cares. Yeah. No one cares about this bloody thing. And then all of a sudden, you do care and you start playing it, and it's not only a story about the PS5, but it's a story about PlayStation in general. And that for me is what really hit home. People love to call me an expert and love to say whatever they want. Or I don't play PlayStation games, or I don't play anything other than Xbox. Like, well, no, I play everything. And I've been a gamer since, like I always say, since I was probably about 5. So the first console I had was a PS1. I grew up on a PS1. Or no, the first console I had was Sega Mega Drive, but the first PlayStation console I had was a PlayStation 1. Yeah. And I have those memories. I had a PS1, I had a PS Vita, I've had the multi-tap, I've had everything that's in that game. I've owned literally all of, especially my dad owns a game shop as well, so I've either played with them, had them, sold them, used them, been a part, like they've been a part of my life in some way, form or shape. And for me, playing that game was it was a weird emotional like roller coaster of actually playing it and unlocking these what were they called, like artifacts and things like that, and the puzzle pieces and building out the wall. I haven't finished it entirely, but every time I go in there and play, I'm like, wow, this is really good. That's just talking about the aesthetics of the game. The game itself on its own is a great platformer game. Like, it's absolutely fun. It totally utilizes everything what is good about the DualSense at the end of the day. And when I was playing it for the very first time, I went absolutely bonkers, feeling the grass as you walk through, using those adaptive triggers. It was just like, wow, this is next gen. And
I guess I've seen the clips.
this is next gen, and this feels special. This feels amazing. And again, for a game that I generally had no expectations for at all, but I imagined I was going to play it and be like, oh, this is fine. This is fine. I'm going to leave. Nope. I sat there. I finished it. I beat it. I finished the boss, and just all of it coming together was a real special and a magical experience, which I even showed my missus it after a while, like, because that was the first game she played on the PS5, just to show her the adaptive triggers and stuff. And she was like, oh, I might play this. And I was like, you should. It's really fun and it's really enjoyable. I would totally take another experience like that, which is a little bit longer. It doesn't have to be much longer, but just a little bit longer. But I don't think you can replicate it in terms of like the history and the building of the PlayStation 5. Going through the PlayStation 5 and like all the components and the sounds and all of that, like, it just added to it so much more that I think even a sequel could do, really.
Yeah, I think that was it. It was a weird one when I saw that announced. It's like, oh, it's that sequel to that weird PSVR title, and it happened to be like every review I've seen of it since. Like, it is one of the games that has had the most heart this year.
Yeah,
because it pulls on those like you say, like just all those memories of like PlayStation consoles from years gone by.
It's literally a PlayStation. It's a story of PlayStation, and you forget about some of the things that are PlayStation focused that are just in there.
Yeah, there's that, and then it just looks like an adorable game on top.
It is. It really, really, really is. Yep, definitely does.
Unfortunately,
go on.
Go on. I'm going to say, it's one of those things, because I've not got the PS5 yet, so I'm missing out on a lot of these games. So, but it's like watching people play it, and just like the nostalgia just comes rushing back, and just like it's just that feeling of like, I remember being a kid getting my PS2 and playing through like the Crash Bandicoots and Ridge Races and things like that. It's just like, oh, happy times.
Yeah. Happy times. Mate, Crash on PS1 was back in the day. It was the number 9. What have you got?
So this is a game that we are both very familiar with. It is one we play a lot. For me, it is one of those games. I had a love-hate relationship, but when I was putting this list together, I was like, I've got to put it on here just because it's one of the games that I've played the most this year. It's Call of Duty Warzone. I had to get it on there. Again, it's like one of those games that I've put so many hours into. That like, and again, get a couple of mates together, jump into the Warzone. It's just hours and upon hours of fun.
It's funny you mentioned Warzone. It's not on my top 10.
No,
It's weird, and this is what I always say to people. People say to me, "Oh, you must love Call of Duty." I'm like, no, I don't love Call of Duty. It's a job game for me. It's definitely one of those games that, like, I stream it. I'm not good at it, but I'm very average. I'm better than average, I'd say, maybe. And like that's why I play it, because I happen to be okay. I love battle royales, so I love those genres, but I don't love Call of Duty the way some people make it out that I love it. But yeah, I agree with you though. It's definitely one of those games which is you and 3 friends jump in and you've got an hour to kill. That's the perfect game to play.
It is, and it's one of those things. Like the Call of Duty franchise itself has been one that I've actively avoided for the most part, just because, like, since the original Modern Warfare 2, I want to say, I've just not played really any Call of Duty. But I think the fact that it was a free-to-play mode, that it kind of had those kind of like nostalgic elements of all of the different Call of Duties as part of the map. For the most part, it's pretty well balanced. Up until recently, hi to the DMR and Mac Daddy. But yeah, for the most part, it's really good. Like I think the strength of it alone, the map is fantastic. I think the Gulag mode works perfectly. And yeah, like you said, that whole like just get a few friends together, play that. You can play for hours if you get a good team together. Just have a load of fun, and it doesn't really matter if you win or not. It's nice when you do. It doesn't happen a lot for me, but it does happen sometimes. But when it does, it's great. But even if you don't, it's like it's still just it's fun jumping into the war zone. Like, you know, get a couple of kills, and yeah, just have a good laugh with your mates.
There's nothing better than getting a sniper kill.
Nothing, absolutely nothing.
When you get a sniper kill especially when you play solo, because you actually get a wipe on the guy, it's just like, wow, that felt amazing. You feel so good. It makes you feel tingly inside.
Yeah, and even if it's not, like, just get that team wipe at the bottom.
Yeah. Like, nice. Yeah, when you hear the cash drop, it's like, yeah, we did that. We did that. Come on.
Yeah.
Number 9 for me is a game called Night Call. You ever heard of it?
Yes, I've seen, well, obviously, because I've seen you stream it. I've seen it on Game Pass as well.
Yeah, it's a game that caught me totally off guard, to be honest with you. You are a cab driver, and you're pretty much an Uber driver, and you are driving around this city, and you have to you control, like, it's a dialogue game, and you get conned into being like part of this police force, that you got to go and find somebody, and there's just so much story in it, and it's so well written, and there are these characters that just pop up out of nowhere that while you're playing it, you're just like, this is stupid, right? This is dumb. Like, I've got Father Christmas in the back of my car, and then you just keep playing and you keep learning more, and then, like, I don't want to spoil it for anyone if you haven't played it and you do play it because of this. Like, it's just one of those experiences that was so unique last year that I have to put it on here. Like, if the premise of the game was you're an Uber driver and you're hearing people's stories, I would have been like, and there's it's not VO'd or stuff like that. It's like, I would have been like, no, I'm good. Like, no, thank you. But the fact that it got me and I played it through and I enjoyed my time with it, and the scenarios that I did do and the people I did come across, I remember their stories so vividly still. And that's something that I struggle with, to be honest with you. I'll play a game and forget the game very quickly. But with that game, I remember a talking animal. I remember this lawyer that was going through an emotional time. And, like, I remember these stories, and it's like, if a game can do that with its writing, for me, it definitely deserved to make it on my list. So, yeah, number 9 is Night Call.
Good shout. Like I say, for everything I've seen about that game, it does look like my kind of game. Like, I love those kind of, like, story-driven, like, experiences.
Easy for achievements as well, so maybe you'll be able to pick it up when you
do like achievements.
You're trying to do your achievement hunt on your live stream at the moment, so yeah, maybe you can do it there.
Yeah, my race to 100k. Yeah, that could be a good fit in there. Yeah, nice.
Number 8.
Number 8, again, one of those games that technically, depending on how you look at it, didn't come out in 2020, but the wiki says it did. For me, this is one of those games that is like just massive nostalgia. So I went with Tetris Effect Connected.
Ah, okay.
So this is the multiplayer version of Tetris Effect. So it originally launched as a launch title for the Series X.
Yeah.
And I think this month it comes out on. It's an update to PS5 and PC. But yeah, currently it's just, as far as I'm aware, just on Xbox Series X. But yeah, it's that nostalgia thing of I the first gaming experience I remember is playing Tetris. So it's one of the few positive experiences I had of my father, where he gave me the original brick of a Game Boy with Tetris. And I used to just spend hours upon hours, just me and my mum going against each other, trying to beat the highest score. And it's like one of those experiences, like you don't really have that anymore, or like I've not had anything similar to that for a long time, where it's like just something that like takes me back to my childhood, where I remember it. And on top of that, you've got it's just beautiful graphics. I think all the levels look beautiful, regardless of which one you're on.
Yeah.
The soundtrack is just perfect. I've found myself humming the songs hours after I've played the game, and it's everything about it just hits me in that nostalgic. Just what I love about video games, just simple experiences that remind you of a better time, and you can just have hours upon hours of just like simple fun with it. And it's like, it's perfect for me. The hard mode is just the right level of hard, so that when you finally beat a level, you actually feel that sense of accomplishment as well.
Okay.
And it's just everything about it for me was perfect. All the experience I had with that game was just everything I wanted from it and more.
Yeah, I remember I played it with Haley when we both got our Series X's. And I was like, I'm not the Tetris guy the way she is. She loves Tetris. She loves it.
Yeah.
Like, we played a lot of Tetris 99 on the Switch, like, where we take it in turns. But playing this, we played the co-op mode where you take down the boss, and I was like, this is really fun, and this is really cool. And when it becomes the giant blocks and stuff like that, you're like, just the music going along with the background, and it's hard to take it all in. You feel like you're on a mushroom trip a little bit, and you're just like, just go in, and you're just like, wow, this is a really refreshing and nice experience, which is not something you get all the time in gaming. A lot of it is shooting or puzzles or this or that. And Tetris, I know it's a puzzle game technically, but to me, Tetris is its own genre. It's Tetris to me.
It's Tetris. Yeah,
I know it technically is a puzzle game, but it's just I loved it. Not enough to get on my top 10, but I really enjoyed the experience I had with it as well.
Yeah, I think as I was saying there, like it's that like those zen moments in the game, like in the earlier levels, where you can just kind of not like pay attention to what's happening. You just kind of just go with the flow and just spend your time just building up lines, just having fun, listening to the soundtrack, and enjoying when it changes depending on how you play the game.
Yeah.
And it's just those moments are just, you can't really like emulate those kind of moments in any other media. And I think, Tetris Effect just managed to nail that perfectly.
Mm-hmm. Number 8 for me is a little game you may have heard of called Animal Crossing.
I heard of it, yeah.
Dude, this game grabbed us. I can't believe how this game got me and Haley and Phil and Stead was playing it, and we're all jumping on each other's islands to sell our things for this much, and people are manipulating it, and we're like, we're not doing that. We refuse to be time manipulators and look down on them. And, like, the whole experience that I had, and it was Haley was off from work, and every single day we're sat there playing Animal Crossing for hours upon hours, and I'm like, how am I getting this much time out of it? In the end, I think Haley's got like 300 hours in Animal Crossing, which that's for Haley is like ridiculous. I think I've got like 100 and something. I still haven't beaten it because I haven't got KK Slider on my island yet. But it's one of those Nintendo, very rarely do Nintendo games get me. Very, very rarely. Like, I'm not a Mario kid. I was a Sega kid growing up, so I was into Sonic, not Mario, so I missed out on all those experiences. And then, like, this game called Animal Crossing that I've never played before, it's like, this is going to be the one. And I'm like, yeah, all right, I'll buy it and see what the hype's about. And I bought it and just literally learning not to sell your insects because you need to put them in your museum. And you're just like, oh, man, this is so much fun. So much fun.
Yeah. I mean, I get that. I had that moment. Like, I'll say it didn't make my list, but it was on there till about like 10 o'clock this morning when I changed it around a little bit.
Yeah.
But like, it's those moments. Like, I've not really played the Animal Crossing series before. I tried New Leaf briefly, just because I knew obviously New Horizons was coming out.
Yeah.
So I've got 3DS. I tried it on there. I was like, it's fine. It's what it is. But then New Horizons was just a leap above that game. And like Haley, I think I've put in close to 300 hours on it, which is insane to think it is a game that only came out this year.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Was it end of last year it came out?
Oh, it might have been. It might have been.
I think it was like
This might have been
tail,
my...
like right at, I think it was a December release.
Let me check. Animal Crossing Horizon. No, March.
Anybody wants to be a fact check? Was it March? Okay. So, which is even more insane then, because I'm yeah. I got KK Slider. He's been chilling out on my island for a while now. The reason it didn't make my list is because I've not gone back to it for months.
Yeah.
I think it's one of those things. Like I got to the point where I'd unlocked everything, apart from I think I had the ability to like terraform the island now. Yeah. And I just didn't bother doing any of that.
That's where I got to. When terraforming was a thing, I was like, nope, I'm out. No, thank you. I don't want to.
I'm good.
It takes a day to terraform. It takes this. I'm like, nah, that's when too much for me.
Yeah.
Too much for me.
Yeah, when it became the point of the whole point of the game was the grind. It's like, I'm good now.
Yeah.
But everything leading up to that, like, it's that perfect little, like I say, those experiences that you don't get anywhere else.
Yeah.
It's just like, just Animal Crossing had something special, and I can see why it made your list.
100%. Number 7, what you got?
Number 7, again, another game that did not come out this year, but it is a game that I got into this year, and it had a huge update. It was Apex Legends.
Oh.
So again, this is one of those things where it's similar to the Call of Duty, but there's a big difference in the way that these games work. So like with Call of Duty, like if I'm playing with mates, I can have a load of fun. If you're playing on your own, it's a bit of a different story, and it can get infuriating sometimes. Apex, I just did not care. Like I love every minute I've dropped in that game. The new update is fantastic. The special events they've been having going on at the moment, so the Winter Bash has been great. The characters, all of the different heroes that you can play as, or the legends, are all varied, really different. They've all got cool abilities. The new characters seem like they fit perfectly. And none of the grind seems to be like too hard of a grind, or it's one that I don't care about doing. Like, or I'm not upset about doing. Like everything that it's leading towards feels like it's achievable. And even those bits that take a little bit longer, I don't mind doing it because I'm having so much fun in that game. And again, another one of those things where when you're playing with friends, it's a whole nother experience. These multiplayer games, like things like this, are just built for just friends getting together, having a laugh. And maybe getting some wins here or there is always nice. But it's never the prevailing factor in my gaming experiences. I don't care usually about getting those wins. It's always about everything leading up to it. And Apex does it perfectly. The new maps are fantastic. I think they've done a really good job for a free-to-play game to make everything achievable without paying for it, but don't feel bad about paying for stuff. You don't feel like you have to do anything like that. I think Respawn are just masters at the game. We saw it with like Titanfall 2. They can just build a brilliant world with brilliant characters. And I think the fact that they managed to put such a fantastic lore into a free-to-play battle royale is just amazing. I can't wait to see what they do next.
Dude, I wish I loved Apex the way people do. I play it and I'm like, it's so fast. And maybe it isn't because I played COD and I think COD's even maybe a little bit quicker, but it's just the game, it's the devil I know sort of thing. Like, I try and play it and I'm just like, this isn't fun. I'd rather be playing COD like every time. I used to jump on it with Crash all the time and just be like, dude, can we play anything else? Because I don't like this. And he doesn't like COD, so we'd like sometimes jump on Fortnite and like, no, neither of us want to play that.
Wait, did Fortnite not make your list for this year?
No, unfortunately not. Fortnite didn't make it.
No, but I agree with that to an extent. But like I've had matches which I think my current record is one match which lasted 57 seconds. In Apex. So you can have those really fast matches, but then you can have some that just go the distance, and it's just getting all of the like armor and stuff, and getting the best weapons, and then getting the good vantage points. Everything you want from
all that is the pain for me. I think because I've already put enough time into trying to learn how to build in Fortnite and then learning all the meta in COD. It's like another one. I'm like, no, I'm good. I can't do it.
I mean, the only meta you really need to learn is get the gold armor and avoid the havoc at all costs, and you'll be fine.
Yeah.
But I love Apex Legends. It's one of those games. Again, it's similar to you where when I first played it, when it first came out, I just couldn't get to grips with it. But then when I've gone back this year, I think all the balancing they've done and the way that they've just looked after that community, and it's one of those reasons why I think they keep getting voted as like one of the best ongoing communities. as a video game. And yeah, it's well deserved because yeah, it's a fantastic game. They've been supporting it really well, and I think this year's just like been the best year yet for that game.
Nice. All right. Number 6 for me is number 7 for me is Mafia Definitive Edition. I'm not going to go on too long because it is actually a remake. Mafia, if you know what it is, this is the best version of Mafia that you can play. I loved Mafia 2, and I don't remember finishing Mafia 1 originally. So when the Definitive Edition came around, I absolutely was jumping on it. And once I started playing it, I was like, man, I miss these type of games, which is just it's open world, but it's not open world, where it's like it's a narrative driven game. You can drive whatever way you want to go, but it's a narrative driven game. And I forgot how much I just miss that experience, which is you start the game, you play it for 12 hours, it's done. Like there's no side quests, there's no microtransactions, there's nothing there to distract you. It's just telling you this fantastic story, and that's exactly what Mafia Definitive Edition is. It's gorgeous. It's got like beautiful lighting. Before we had the Series X, this was on my Xbox One X. I remember being like, man, the light in this game, the puddles were like glycerin. It was so nice. It was so nice, and I loved every moment that I played with it. So yeah, that's why it's number 7 on my list.
I mean, yeah, great addition. I don't think I played the Mafia 1 originally. I think I skipped 2 as well. I did play 3, and I did enjoy
like
3.
Play 1 and 2. Play Definitive 1 and play 2. 2 is the best. 2 is fantastic. I promise you. I promise you.
I'll keep an eye out for them next time we're on deal. But
definitely.
Like,
definitely.
I mean, I do like those little self-contained stories. I think they are fantastic, and I think from what I've seen of the Definitive Edition, I think it is a great like update to that game. So I'm down for checking that out again.
You should definitely. Number 6, what you got?
Number 6 is there's kind of a pattern emerging here. I basically just choose party games most of this list.
Okay.
So again, the biggest party game of the year. Something involved little tiny beans. Fall Guys.
Oh damn! I didn't even think of Fall Guys.
Yeah.
Wow.
The beans themselves.
Oh yeah. Damn! I've forgotten all about that game.
Yeah. It's one of those things, and it's kind of a prevailing like story for all of my choices. Is like being able to go back to a game and get this just like drop in, drop out experience. Just like you just get tons out of it. I think again, Fall Guys was that like massive hit of the year. Obviously, everyone was talking about it at one point or another.
Huge drop off though, right? Like the drop off's been crazy.
The drop off, I mean, it has dropped a bit, yeah, but that's generally how gamers are. They'll move on to the next big thing. Obviously, yeah, there's been other games that have come out since that have grabbed people's attention. But for me, again, it's one of those games where you can just drop in, drop out. This year has been a big year for me streaming, so it's been perfect for being able to just play online, not really worry about what I'm doing, but just have fun in it and just talk to people and chat and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just, I think the way that they've built that game of being able to just like slowly but surely increase it, and like the new seasons are great, the new maps are fantastic. Like season 3, all the new additions are just probably some of the best maps I've added into that game. And yeah, I love the little collaborations with the skins that you can get with other video game franchises. Like I think they had Alex from Half-Life in there.
Ninja.
They've had
Don't forget Ninja.
Ninja's in there. Yeah, I'm pretty sure there's hints at the Doomslayer as well from Doom.
Yep.
So yeah, there's just a ton of stuff in there, and it's just that little like. There's always like a solid community of people that are playing that game always, and I think it's going to be one of those ones that carries on going from strength to strength if they keep building the way they are at the moment. Like with the season 3 stuff was fantastic. I can't wait to see what the next season is as well, because yeah, there's some really inventive maps, and yeah, it's just there is no better feeling than getting that crown at the end.
I only got
absolutely nothing like it.
I only got one.
I may have got 3 or 4.
Yeah,
like,
only the one. It hurts, but that's life. It's life.
But how good did that one feel, though? How good did that one feel?
Yeah, but the first one always feels good.
Doesn't it, though?
Always feels.
But then you're always chasing that high.
Always. Next up on the list for me is Gears Tactics. Came out on PC early this year, then came to Xbox Series X late at launch. I'm a huge Gears fan. I love the Gears universe. I love the Gears world. And when this game got announced, I was really excited for it. I wasn't sure how in depth it was going to be though, because obviously it's an XCOM. It's pretty much XCOM Gears. Is pretty much what the game is. And the fact that it is literally XCOM Gears with a 40-hour campaign on there is amazing. There were some bits I didn't like about it. I didn't like the forced side quests. I didn't like being forced to do certain aspects to like build out your team. But the story they tell in the Gears world is brilliant. There's characters there that I've really enjoyed. There's old foes, there's new foes. It's a story that you want to know because it's taken before Gears 1, and learning about all of these different characters, building up your own army of people. So I had my whole Twitch chat in there with Crash and me and Haley and like a bunch of other people. And it was nice. When they died, permadeath was on. So when they died, they were gone. So you spend all these resources building up these characters, leveling up, putting new guns on them, putting new armor on them, and then they're just gone. They're just dead. It's done.
Whoops.
Yeah, and it was just so nice to see like a character with a sniper ability and like using that gear sniper and having that gear sands in there. It was the experience I needed at the time, and it was an experience that I would 100% go back to, especially now that it's been moved over to the controller as well on the Series X. It's like, oh, and it works perfectly on the controller. It was an experience I've really enjoyed having, and the story was what led me to keep going, and it told an interesting story, which is nice.
Yeah, it is one that I want to go back to. I started playing it on PC, and I did that whole thing of like, oh, well, it's coming to Xbox soon, so I'll pick it up and play it on there. And it's just one I've not got to yet. But yeah, everything about it just it fit perfectly from what I'd seen in that Gears universe.
Yeah.
Graphic wise, it just fit perfectly. Like the cutscenes between like levels, just felt like Gears cutscenes.
They are. That's literally what it is.
Yeah, and they're just it's just that perfect. It felt like from what I'd played of that perfect retelling of a telling of just a Gears story. All the characters felt natural to the universe, and yeah, the gameplay as well just worked perfectly for like an XCOM style strategy game.
I want a Halo. I want every big franchise they do now. I want this type of game spin-off in it because they've proven it can be done.
Yeah.
So
you want Halo Wars 3 to be more of an XCOM style thing then?
I don't care about Halo, I'll be honest. I know. I'm sorry.
Sorry, guys.
I'm sorry.
I'm trying. I really am. I'm trying.
Number 5. What you got?
I have got. You might recognize the location of this game. It's somewhere local to you. A little place called London.
Yeah.
Have you seen all the drones flying around?
No way did Watch Dogs get on your list.
Watch Dogs got on my list.
Wow.
I put so much time into this game, and I never hated a single second of it.
Damn.
I loved it. Like
I can't bring myself to finish it. I can't bring myself to finish it. I'm at that point where I'm like, I really couldn't care about this game at all.
And the exact opposite. Like, I loved every second I put into that game. I think the world that they built was fantastic. Like, not being from London, but being there enough, like seeing those like landmarks and those side streets that I've been down, like the Cyber market. Shop in the market, like seeing their equivalent of that and just being like, I recognize this place. And then being able to run around in that world and seeing all like the clever elements they've done of like the world building of like the hidden areas and things like that. The story was it was a pretty standard like Watch Dogs story, like team of people coming together, taking down the big bads and all that. I thought they had a bit of a miss of doing the whole anyone can be
it didn't
the
work
hero kind of thing. It didn't really work, but so that's why when I generally found a team of like 3 or 4, I stuck with them and didn't switch them out. So that worked better for me, I think, than rather than switching out between like 10 or 15 characters. And yeah, I enjoyed that. I thought the ending was great. I thought it took that landing. I won't spoil it for anyone, but yeah, I thought it was a really good build up. There were some genuinely heartfelt moments in the end of it for me that worked really well. That made me care about people I didn't think I'd care about and stuff like that. So yeah, I think of all the Watch Dogs, I think 2 is still better, but I think 3 was like, considering this was one of those games that kind of got let out there. Like Ubisoft basically released like 3 games within a week
on top of each other.
And it's just like so it could have just died to death and no one had thought about it, but like I just had so much fun in that world, and I love the open world games that Ubisoft do, and I think this was one of those ones that just like it hit all the benchmarks of what makes a great open world game for me.
Fair enough.
And,
Number 5 for me is a little game you may have heard of. It's called The Last of Us 2.
Yeah, I think I've heard of that one.
Cool, yeah. I really enjoyed my time with The Last of Us 2. Not as much as some people who obviously had it up there for their game of the year, and more power to them, of course. It was one of those games that I always felt we didn't need. Where Last of Us 1 was such a remarkable experience for me. I remember playing it. It was the first time I tried getting into the games industry. I was writing out to practice writing, which obviously I didn't end up doing, but I was writing a diary of me playing the game, and they were going up as articles. So I had that moment with The Last of Us, and the ending's amazing, and just the full package of what The Last of Us is, that world was amazing. And the way it ends, to me, is where it should have ended. It should have stayed like that for me. Again, I understand it's your art, you do what you want with it. And of course, I'm going to experience it, right? So playing The Last of Us 2, I already kind of went in with like a negative mind frame of not wanting to like it. And then
I don't want this to be a thing.
Yeah,
I guess I'll play it.
Exactly. But then I didn't know any of the spoilers, but I kind of knew the spoilers. And it was certain moments that happened in the game I was fine with. I understood why they were happening. I didn't want them to happen, but that was kind of the point. But throughout the entire game, it was definitely a game of like, are you feeling emotional? Are you feeling emotional? Are you feeling... The whole time, it felt like it was asking me to feel something that maybe I necessarily wasn't feeling directly at that moment in time, which is unfortunate. I think they had a few little missteps with certain characters. It didn't work. It wasn't explained enough. It felt like it was quite shoehorned in. I didn't love the going back and doing it all over again type thing. I don't want to spoil it in any way, shape, or form, but if you know what I'm talking about, the days, you know what I'm talking about. And that part didn't work. I didn't have a problem with playing who we played as and who they were and what they done and things like that. But what I did have a problem with was it's not the exact same scenario. It's different, but in the timeline, I just didn't like it. I think I would have preferred it if it was one person this time, then we switch over and go to that, and then we switch back and we go to that. And I think that, for me, in my brain, would have worked better, because I felt like we were going somewhere. We got to the place, and then it was, oh, you're not going to find out that information for another 6 hours.
Yeah.
And that really bugged me. Or it might have been longer than 6 hours, but it really was like, I just want to know what happens there. And I don't really care about all of this other stuff, which I ended up caring a little bit more, but not enough to warrant me not wanting to get to the place of where I was at, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I guess there's a risk is like they're constructing these cliffhangers, as it were.
But it's a cliffhanger within the damn game that I'm playing, though. Like,
But it's that problem of like you get to this point, and then it's like, no, now you're gonna go play this bit. Like, well, I don't want to play this bit, so I'm gonna rush through this bit to get to that point. It's like, I can get why there's frustration there.
Yeah.
I have not yet played Last of Us 2.
Okay.
Just because I've still got a base PS4, and I'm pretty sure
I played mine on. That's what I played mine on. Really? I played on base PS4.
Okay.
Yeah.
I played. Maybe I'll.
Yeah,
I'll jump in there one day. But yeah, it's one of those things. Like I took forever to play the first Last of Us.
So did
I. I think I finished the remastered version of it this year.
Oh, okay, not that long. I played on PS3.
So I only just finished it this year. But yeah, I love that experience. Everything I've heard about Last of Us 2 is like the world that they've built and just the technology behind it, and obviously all the accessibility stuff. Is fantastic. Just on an industry standpoint alone, is amazing. That I hope more companies do that. And that's going back to my the Watch Dogs thing. Like, again, they did a fantastic job of some of the accessibility options in that game, and I think I like to see that more. But I think Last of Us just shot that stuff out of the park. But yeah, everything I've heard about the gameplay aspect of it is just it's one of the best of this generation.
It's amazing. Again, you're gonna make my top 10 and hit 5. I don't think that's a bad place to be sat, to be honest with you. But some people will be like, "Oh, it wasn't in your top 3." I'm like, no, it wasn't.
Well, actually, I think you'll find it's the best game ever.
Number 4. What you got? What you got for me?
You know when I said that Ubisoft dropped like 4 games at once? Yeah, they dropped another one that I ended up putting all of my hours into.
Oh, what's that?
So this would be the Immortals Phoenix Rising.
Ah, okay. At number 4.
Mm-hmm.
Mine's at number 4 too.
Hey, look at that! Time, just like it's like we planned it. We did not.
We did not. No, we did not. So go ahead, talk about it.
But yeah, it was one of those like sleeper hits like that. I just did not expect. It was another one where they just dropped it. Minimal marketing behind it. Obviously, got announced. Previously called Gods and Monsters. Everyone took the piss out of the new name because no one liked it. But yeah, after playing it, I think it works perfectly fine. But yeah, it was one of those things like it's another open world Ubisoft game, but it's one of the ones that's got like one of the most just like comedic hearts to it. I love running around in the world. I thought all the biomes were like generally different from each other. So you always knew which area you were in and how great it felt and all the different elements in that area. I loved like the back and forth between like Phoenix and his name has gone completely out of my mind.
Hamas.
Runs fast. That guy.
What's his name? What's his name?
Gone out of my mind.
Oh my god, it begins with H. I can't think of it.
Harry. Harry. Yeah,
it's not Harry. Definitely not Prince Harry.
No, it's not Harry. No, it's not
Harry.
Go
on, carry on.
But yeah, and the voiceover between Poseidon and Zeus was just like a masterstroke just of comedy. Just hearing those two talk between each other, and yeah, just the world itself is just a beautiful place to run around in. It got a lot of slack for looking like a Breath of the Wild clone. And when you start off, it kind of had those elements in there. But then as you start unlocking some of the like the combat and the traversal stuff, it's just is it Hermes?
Hermes.
It just came to my mind then. Because I got a delivery earlier. But yeah, Hermes and like Phoenix talking to each other is just great. But yeah, like just the combat, just the way it builds up is fantastic. It has like on the base level, it's very hack and slash. But then as you start unlocking abilities and how you can play with those to parry and like juggle enemies and all that kind of stuff. All the puzzles are fantastic. The little Tartarus pits, as they're called in the game, all well thought out puzzles, like really good physics based gameplay. The boss fights are fantastic, and it's just a brilliant game that I did not expect to love as much as I did.
I expected Ubisoft sent me the game, and I literally expected to play the game for about 3 hours on stream, like this isn't for me, and never play it again. Literally, that's what I was expecting, and in the end, that wasn't the case. Right? The story was humorous for me, and it's one of those things, humor, you're either going to love it or hate it, right? For me, I loved it. I enjoyed the combat. I'm not a Breath of the Wild guy, so didn't like Breath of the Wild at all. So playing this, I was like, I actually really like this system way better than Breath of the Wild, because the big thing I hated in Breath of the Wild was the weapons breaking. This is very much pick a weapon. Cool, that's your weapon. It's good. You can change it. It can change skin. It can do this, but that's your weapon. Like you haven't got to worry about gear and loot. And there is loot you're still getting, but it's different. It's all very simplified. Even the puzzles. The puzzles can be somewhat challenging, but they click pretty quickly and pretty easily if you just think about it.
Yeah, if you take a second, just look around. It kind of the world tells you what you're supposed to do. And I think that was one of the great things. It's like a really good entry level RPG. Like you say with the weapon system, I think like you find a weapon you like, you can switch it out between different ones that have like slightly different abilities.
But it's not a big deal.
It's not a big deal. Like you could stick with the starting weapons and have fun with it, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't force you to change it up that much if you don't want to. It also has a transmog system, which is great. So if you find a look you like, you can stick with that. Just everything about that game was just like, it was just like nice, fun, open world to run around in that just surprised me. I will again obviously mention that I also got the code for free as well, but again, I could have just easily, like you say, played a couple of hours. Thanks for the code, and then never gone back to it. But I had to 100% it. Like I had to
Yeah,
go
I
back
haven't
and
100%ed it. I've beat it, but I haven't 100%ed it.
Yeah. Oh no, like yeah, I have to go back and do that at some
yeah,
point. But
yeah.
yeah, and I want to. That's the thing. It's like
Yeah.
usually with those games, you'll complete the story and be like, "Cool, I'm done. I can move on." But that one, this is one of those games where it's like, I want to go play in that world more. I enjoy being in that world.
Yeah.
And yeah, I loved it.
Number 3, then. What you got? Oh, do you want me to go? It's up to you.
We'll switch it up. You go next.
Okay, cool. Number 3 for me is Tell Me Why. This is Don't Nod Entertainment's game about 2 siblings, one being trans and telling their story. It's one of those games very hard to kind of explain and speak about without spoiling it. I did a 3-part spoiler cast over on My Xbox and Me, myself, Crash, and Laura, Kate Dale. So you should all go check that out if you haven't already. It was one of those experiences that I love these talking sim games. They're walking sim, sorry, games. They're my favorite. I love playing them. I love stories. I love being put in different people's circumstances and seeing things from different perspectives. But this game, like no other, really, as I'm mixed race, right? So we very much see a white person perspective, and sometimes we'll see a black person's perspective. But to see someone that is totally going through or just gone through a transition in their life and seeing how people approach them and the right pronouns to use and things like that, it didn't only change my experience. It didn't only help me experience it. It changed my experience in the world, in the real world, because I've been someone that I try my very hardest to always be forward thinking and always correcting other people and stuff, but I'm not always the best at it myself sometimes. Like I can slip up, and this game just taught me so many things, dead naming and stuff like that. Like just the conversation around trans people was amazing to be able to be a part of that conversation and just to learn. And that's why for me this game, every time I played it, it's a 3-hour experience. I couldn't wait to sit down and talk about it with Laura and Crash for an hour and a half and literally dive in deep and hear about what they did, what I didn't do, and we had a different this and a different that. And yeah, don't get me wrong, we all got to the same ending, but we all did it very differently. Each experience was very different. Seeing how, again, I want to spoil it, but I don't want to, so I'm not going to. But yeah, I really loved it. I've
not finished it, so
yeah, I really loved it. Really loved it.
Yeah, I could imagine that would have made my list, but I only managed to do episode 1, so I didn't finish it all. I am going to go back and do episodes 2 and 3 at some point, because, like you say, it's like one of those games. We've talked about it with some of these games. It's like it's just a fun world to play in.
Yeah.
But Tell Me Why is different. It's like sometimes games can just be fun. Sometimes they can tell a really important story.
Yep.
And I think Tell Me Why does that. From what I've played of that first episode, it does it perfectly.
It gets so much more deeper. So much more deeper. Yeah. So
and that's the thing, like it sets it up perfectly that it can do that. And yeah, it's just we need to have those games out there in the world that tell those stories for stories that don't really get told in the general day-to-day. And like you say, if it gives a better understanding of someone's situation, then all the better for it.
Exactly.
But yeah, so I can see why that made your list.
Number 3, what you got?
Mine one's not as serious as that. Mine's just basically hack and slash. I went with Hades for number 3.
Oh, okay.
Absolutely adore this game. I thought it was going to be, because again, studio has gone completely out of my mind. I don't do preparation because I'm terrible. I apologize. I'll do better next time. But they've done similar games, so like Transistor and Bastion and things like that.
Supergiant,
that's the one. So the games that they build are usually like, obviously, your isometric top-down, like hack and slash style games. But the characters in Hades are what makes this game, and the way that they kind of like drip feed you the story and the elements of it all. It's just fantastic. The game looks beautiful. The art style is phenomenal. Like that, like hand-drawn art style. It's just, they've always made beautiful games. Like Transistor was just like the colors in that game were just gorgeous. But yeah, Hades is something like the next step up. All of the bosses and the enemies and stuff like that are all varied. They're obviously built around like the underworld, like characters that are in there. But they do such a fantastic story of like building these kind of like strands between the characters, and as you go along, and obviously one of those games where like you're supposed to die a lot. The whole premise of the game is fight as hard as you can to get to the end, and it's that whole like the repeat and grind is what's the main crux of the game.
Yeah.
But the way that as you do that, and it opens up like new like conversation elements between each of the different characters that are in that world, and how you start getting like those connections between each of the characters and finding out like their motives behind doing what they're doing and things like that without getting into spoiler territory.
Yeah.
It's just it's that extra level of like production that they've put in that game that just makes it phenomenal. And it's again one of those games where I'm just like, I'll just spend hours running, like doing runs in that game, and just failing miserably sometimes. But then there's moments where you just like the tiniest sliver of health, and you finally beat that last boss, and it's that whole grabbing the crown and Fall Guys thing. There's that moment that you get in a game that it's fantastic.
It works.
You can't beat, yeah, and they've done it perfectly. Like I say, like Bastion and Transistor before were just great experience, but this is like a whole nother level. And yeah, I highly recommend it if you can find it anywhere. I'm pretty sure like Epic had like a deal at the moment where you could get a discount code from them. Use it for Hades. It is phenomenal. I think it's coming to consoles if it's not already there.
Yeah, I think it is.
Yeah, but yeah, if you've got a PC that can run it, which is not that intensive, then pick it up and check it out because it is fantastic.
Fair enough. Number 2 for me is a little game called Spiderman Miles Morales. It was the first game I played on my PS4, my PS5, sorry. And I wasn't expecting it to be as good as it actually was. The hard thing about this is it being at number 2, right? To me, it is very much an expansion. That is what this game is. The same city. It's a new character, tells a new story, and that's why it's so high on this list, because its story. Its story is so good. It tells a story about Miles as a normal child living in this world, as well as coming to terms with he is Spider-Man, and then the family dynamics of that and having to deal with it all putting together without having Peter Parker around to help him. And for me, it just works. It doesn't overstay its welcome, and it's simple. It's simplified because it doesn't have all the gadgets. It doesn't have. He's got his Venom Punch. He's got a few other bits and bobs, but it's nothing too overbearing. So it's kind of draws you back a little bit. Which at first I didn't like it because I wanted like the web blaster that stuck people to the walls and things like that. But as I gradually kept playing, I was like, no, you got to remember, this is a different person. This is a different character. He doesn't do that. He has this. And then you do that, and you just start spending time in that world again, and swinging feels amazing, and the VO is amazing, and everything about it just works in a way of like, wow, this is great. It made me cry at the end of it, which I don't cry very often. I wouldn't say I'm a crier. So playing this game and something making me cry tells you how much it touched me. There were a few moments in it that I didn't like, a few boss fights that I wasn't really a fan of. It does that thing towards the end of the game where he sort of throws everything at you, which I hate. But other than that, it was the Spider-Man. Spider-Man's my favorite Marvel character, and anytime I get to play a video game with him that's well done, I'm gonna lap it up. And this one was no different. Absolutely no different.
2 in a row as well. 2 in a row they've done it. Like 2 fantastic Spider-Man games.
Again, 1.5, maybe, or 1.25. Again, it's not a full sequel. It's not. Like if this was a full sequel and it had more to it, I think I would have probably put it number 1. But it doesn't have. It's still the same map. It's still. Do you know what I mean? So I'm not giving them 2 in a row. I won't give them that. No way.
Not having it. All right, fair enough. I mean, I get it. Like we said earlier, I don't have a PS5 yet. I don't want to play that game on PS4. Especially the base one. I want to wait until I get the full-fledged version of it. But yeah, like everything I've seen of that game just looks like going back into that world is something I'm looking forward to doing more than anything. And yeah, I can see why it made your list there.
Number 2, what you got?
Oh God, this is going to be a contentious one. We're going to get comments on this one. So yeah, the biggest news story of the year, Cyberpunk 2077
is number 2.
Is number 2.
Dude, you liked it. That's dope. That's fantastic.
I loved it.
That's fantastic.
Like, yeah. Obviously, the game has issues. We know that. We'll get that out of the way. I am playing on the Series X, so I'm getting a lot less issues than some people. But I'm still having issues. There are still bugs there. But honestly, I don't care. I love the world that they've built. They've built an amazing world. like again, we've talked about it in like some of the other titles I've got on my list. Like I love open world games, and this is probably one of the true like next gen open worlds I've ever felt. Like true feeling like I'm in a living city. Like it's so dense. All of the boroughs are different. It's just a world on its own. Like is the reason to love this game. And it's just but the characters, like CD Projekt Red can write characters. We know this from like Witcher series. Like Geralt is one of the best characters of the last generation.
Mm-hmm.
When this game is fixed, I can honestly not see anything beating this game for a while as being like the best game ever.
But you said it. But when the game is fixed.
Yeah, like again, there are issues, but like even now, like is the reason this is number 2 on my list because the character and the world that they've built with those characters is fantastic. I have felt like genuine, like guttural emotion from some of the missions I've done, and even some of the side missions. There has been side missions where I've wanted to kill someone just because of what they do in that world. It doesn't affect the story in any way. It is literally a side story. But they have pissed me off so much, and the characters are so like nuanced and well written that it's just like I've not had that for a long time. Usually, like you'll get characters in the story like they're a bit of a dickhead, or like oh they've annoyed me a bit, and it's like these like genuine emotion, and like I've genuinely enjoyed caring about how so the Johnny Silverhands and the V dynamic and how that like plays out. Again, I'll avoid all spoilers, but like by the end of it, I like. To start with, Johnny Silverhand's a bit of a dickhead, again. Not a big fan of him to start with, but as you get through and you kind of get those layers out of him and like the way that they start talking to each other, it's just, the writing in this game is phenomenal. Some of the side quests, again, like I say, just like gut punches of like emotion. And by the end of it, like I was so invested in how this game turned out. One of the things I get in RPGs, like, and I get it in a lot of games, like, I always want to get the best ending.
Yeah.
So, like, I'll always, like, when it gets to, like, near the ending of an RPG, like, I'll start looking up online, like, how to get the best ending and stuff like that. I
can't do all that. No way.
Yeah. This is one of those games, though, where I'm just like, I don't care about the best ending. I care about, like, how my character's art ends. So, like, I start making decisions not to get the best ending, but because I want to, like, go down a certain arc with a certain character. I don't ever let any
of that stuff influence me, man. I just play the game. The game, and whatever I get. If it's the bad ending, cool. I'm gonna go watch the other 3 anyway. So let me get what I get. Yeah.
No, and that's fair. Like you can play games how you want, but like, I always want to get the best ending, and that's fine. But like this is one of those ones where it's like I don't care which one's the best ending. Like I've invested my time, and I've fallen in love with these characters. That just I want to see how that story with them plays out. I am going to go back and do all the other endings. Obviously, I want 100% this game.
Yeah.
I am so close. I think I've only got like because again the hours. I think I've put about 80 hours in so far across a couple of playthroughs.
Damn.
So one playthrough being 70 hours so far, which is the one that I've got the big endings on. So I'm going to go back, finish those off. They do a really good thing of, again, without getting spoilers, there's a point of no return. You complete the game, you go back to that point, so you can go back into the world and do what you want.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. And yeah, again, love doing all the side quest stuff, love getting all the collectibles, building your character your way and how you want to play. I built mine so that I can basically just stand on the side of an area and just hack everyone to death.
Oh yeah.
Using my abilities, or I could just run in with a smart pistol and just headshot everyone for fun. It's just being able to build the character that you want, and every play style for everyone, I think, is going to be different.
Okay.
And I did see an article this week that they're going to be like adding stuff all the way up until June and like fleshing out that world and the characters and all the abilities and stuff like that. So I'm interested to see what it feels like going back into that world after they've done all that. And yeah, like again, even like I say at the beginning, even with the bugs, like there was a couple of crashes and things like that. A couple of weird glitches with like things floating or just people like not looking at you when they're talking. So like just talking over there. And it's just like didn't care about any of that because the story and the world and the characters and everything that built around it was just worth that experience alone.
It's your top 10 list at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
If that's where you put it, that's where you put it.
Yeah, number 2 for me.
Number 1, what you got?
Probably yours as well, but for different reasons. Mine is Final Fantasy VII
Yeah,
Remake.
it is. Let's go.
Let's go, baby.
You know
yeah, for me, it's 50% nostalgia and 50% just a fantastic game.
Okay.
I come from just like loving RPGs. I love them. Like Final Fantasy VII, the original, was one of the first RPGs I played. I put probably to this day, I've 500 hours into playthroughs into that game.
Jesus.
I've put so many hours into that game, like the original, and being able to experience that story again, being one of the best RPG stories in my eyes.
Yeah.
In like modern graphics, modern setting, modern gameplay, but having like a new like action oriented twist on it, but still having those RPG elements. It's just I love that story so much. Like it has such a special meaning to me. And yeah, being able to like have it in like a modern like next gen game, as it were, has been fantastic. I think what they did in splitting it out into like the first part of the story, I was a bit worried when they announced that, but I think they've managed to make. So for anyone who knows the original Final Fantasy, obviously the remake is just the Midgar section. And I think they did a really good job of making it a self-contained story.
When people say that, though, yeah, because that's definitely the conversation piece. I've seen people say, "Oh, I'm gonna wait for all three to come out," or "I'm gonna," and I'm like, "But this doesn't feel like half a game or a quarter of a game." Like, and don't get me wrong, I've never beat Final Fantasy VII. I played the first beginning parts of Final Fantasy VII remake. OG. But to me, it feels like a finished game, and we're gonna see the second part take on. Obviously, I can't wait because I haven't got to do. At least this part, I knew what was coming. The second part, I haven't got a clue what happens.
And that's the thing as well. Like the way that they've done it is A, self-contained story works perfectly, but then B, they've set it up so if they want to, they can rewrite that story. Again, we're not going to get into spoilers too much of the ending, but they've set it up so they can go in whatever direction they want. And I think that is an amazing feat for a game that's 20 years old.
Yeah,
to make it feel fresh and new. It's just man,
dude,
I love that world.
There is no better experience I've had last year than playing Final Fantasy VII on stream with you guys. You being a big component of that. You and Full Metal, and just teaching me how to play the game, number one, but then me experiencing all of these moments that you guys know are coming, and then like the reactions to my reactions once I've done it. It was just it was so fun. I remember doing the gym section and like just doing that over and over again, and I did it. I did it. But yeah, Final Fantasy VII to me is just a overall special game. The way probably people think about OG is the way I now think about remake, which I had like the best of both worlds in a way, which was like I had the beginning part of nostalgia. So some of the main beats in Midgard, I guess I kind of already knew, which was like the cross-dressing stuff and a few other bits that I already knew. I knew the characters sort of thing. But I also missed the end part of Midgard. I've never seen the characters that stuff happens to and things like that. So I kind of got to have my nostalgia and my new together, and it all just come into one and being like, oh my god, the stuff they do with some characters that they don't do in the original game is very emotional and fun and interesting. And I personally can't wait to play through Final Fantasy Remake again on Xbox and really dive into it all over again, and maybe even play it on hard and do it with items only and stuff like that. Probably not, but maybe, who knows.
Yeah, I still need to go back and finish hard. But I think for me, you mentioned it briefly there, like the way that they fleshed out some of the side characters that are basically in the OG remake or the OG version for like maybe half an hour worth of gameplay. But yeah, the way that you actually feel for those characters. Obviously, without getting in spoiler territory, who's best girl?
Obviously, Jessie. Come on, that's not even
obviously
a question.
Jessie.
That's not even a question.
Come on.
Come on.
Jessie is best girl, and I will fight anyone who disagrees. But yeah, the way that they make you care for like that little side character from the original, just give her so much heart as well. It's just man, they built such a fantastic world. Sephiroth is the coolest bad guy in any video game as well. Go on, tell me a cooler one.
No, Albert Wesker. I like Albert Wesker.
Blunt sunglasses.
Oh, blunt sunglasses, cheesy, super cheesy.
I mean, he is pretty cheesy, isn't he?
Sephiroth don't
no,
talk
like
enough.
Sephiroth is. What's that?
He sort of floats around a lot. He's not really. He don't talk enough. He's like he's there but not there. There's not. Maybe I'll get more of that soon when in part 2. But in this part, I feel like he's very much. He's a great boss. He's a great bad. He's a great villain. But not enough for me. No. Not enough for me.
I don't know. It's like just that end fight scene with, again, not spoilers, but for anyone who knows, Sephiroth is the bad guy in Final Fantasy. There will be a point you have to fight him. And it is epic.
Yeah.
And yeah, like there's just, again, going back to the gameplay elements, like the action, like slant that they put on the original, like turn-based RPG. It's just, it was a masterstroke of like being able to like make it more modern with like a more action feel, but still balance it with like the materia system and like the weapons and the abilities you can unlock through those. And I think they did a really good job of that. That could have ended really badly, but they somehow managed to nail it perfectly for me.
Yeah.
Again, as I say, being someone who like the original Final Fantasy is my probably my favorite game of all time. Ocarina of Time a close second, but yeah, it's just they managed to nail the feel of it, but still give us something completely new and fresh.
Perfect.
It's just it was perfect is the word I'd use. Yeah.
Thank you all for watching. This has been episode 1, take 2 of From the Gamers. Again, if you would like to be on the show, drop the comments below. At me at MC Fixer. Despawn, where can people find your work?
You can find me on Twitter at Paul Despawn. You can find me on all socials at Paul Despawn. You can also find me on YouTube, Despawn Games, and Twitch at twitch.tv/Despawn Games.
Cool. You know who I am. You know who I be. You click my channel. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Again, we'll try and get a new one out next week for everyone. The pod link should be up and stuff, but if it's not, bear with us. It will be there very, very soon. Keep being amazing, and until next time, I will love you, leave you, and see you all later. Goodbye.